Alright, this is part 3 of chapter 3 in the Manipulated Mind by Denise Wynn. Unquestioned beliefs. Why is it, for instance, that if we buy a new car or a new coat, we are so often aware that a great many other people also have the same model or style? Unless the phenomenon is due to an unusually successful advertising campaign, it is in fact unlikely that there are more of such cars or coats around than usual. What has happened is that our attention has been drawn to them. We notice them now. That is perceptual set on its simplest level. But it is the same process that is working when we take in information that confirms our existing beliefs or ideas. If a person is committed to socialism, he is likely to pick up on articles, books, and conversations that support his ideas and not so much ignore as be unaware of the content of much material or views that conflict. The ardent feminist is likely to be more highly set to notice instances of male oppression than the, to her, occasional example of sexual fairness or even male subordination. The arch-reactionary will see only wayward youth. The process has its basis in physiology. Our nervous systems would be overloaded to the point of collapse if we were to react to every possible stimulus in the environment around us. We have to be selective. Unfortunately, we cease to realize that we are being selective. We tend to cling tenaciously to our first impressions, even in the event of later information contradicting them. The primacy effect in psychological jargon. Similarly, a strong reaction to one aspect of a person's character or abilities may color our judgment of the rest, the halo and horns effect. The male interviewer who, admiring the prospective new young secretary's long blonde hair, overlooks her poor typing speeds, is an unwitting victim of the halo. The next candidate, who has excellent speeds but who also has glasses that remind the interviewer of his mother-in-law, is a victim of the horns. We unconsciously filter out information that we don't want to receive. What these kinds of psychological concepts show is that all people tend to be rather more blinkered in thought than they imagine. It isn't, however, an immutable state of affairs, but we do have to be conscious of the halo horn effect, etc., in operation before we can counteract them or put them to use. For instance, perceptual set can be tuned to use in order to achieve what is popularly called positive thinking, picking up only positive information that can help one achieve a goal instead of dwelling on negative possibilities that might thwart it. One may perhaps take this idea of limited awareness even further in relation to indoctrination. If indoctrination is the acceptance of a particular belief system or set of views without questioning or evaluation, it may be worth looking at just how much is regularly accepted in everyday life without questioning or exploration, in the hope that this may throw some light on why we are so vulnerable to influence of diverse kinds, while thinking that we have in fact made our own decisions, that is, the assumptions we all make, and some of which we have to make, about our world. Jerome Frank calls our assumptive world the order and regularity everyone has to impose on the vast amount of varying experiences that impinge on him in order to function at all. From personal experience, everyone learns to make a set of assumptions that enable him to predict how others will behave or what to expect from the environment. On the most basic level, we all start from the assumption that there will be a tomorrow, that we will wake up from sleep to a new day and plan our lives accordingly. It is a practical and necessary assumption. Other assumptions are much more personal. A child whose mother demands a high level of orderliness and cleanliness from him reacts angrily if he makes a mess, reacts approvingly if he tidies his toys, may assume that love is contingent upon his fulfillment of these functions. It is an assumption he may carry with him into adult life, enmeshed with innumerable other assumptions that color his values and expectations. As Frank points out, assumptions exist on differing levels of superficiality and duration. Assumptions about the value of a particular evening class can be changed in accordance with the evidence of experience, and can also exist at differing levels of consciousness. Of the assumptive world, Frank says, only a minute part of it is in awareness at any one time, and the relative accessibility to awareness of different aspects of it may differ greatly. A person may be clearly aware of his assumptions about the nuclear arms race, but let us say, but be oblivious to his assumption that he must be perfect in order to gain his mother's love. Yet the latter conviction may have considerably more effect on his behavior than the former. The framework of assumptions we each construct around our world is very precious. It acts as a kind of roadmap. If it is found that a particular set of assumptions does not correspond to reality, a disabling emotional upheaval is experienced. The assumptions have to be changed, and that is not easy if they are deeply entrenched. But it is far more common, perhaps, to have one's personal assumptions pulled into question than for common assumptions to be exposed to contradiction. If it is the case that a whole group of people or a nation act on certain assumptions, those assumptions will probably gain the status of facts. As everyone believes them and acts on them, it is rare that they get called into question at all. Collective assumptions that do have to change. Let me read that again. Collective assumptions that do have to change usually change because scientific inquiry has revealed that what was presumed to be a fact was in actuality a misconception. For instance, we all know the earth is not flat. Where the evidence is incontrovertible, the assumption must be dropped. But it is far more difficult to dislodge assumptions we make about ourselves and our reactions, for we are into the realm of psychology here. We tend to think we can explain our own actions, even if we can't always claim to explain the mysteries of the universe. Psychologists who try to show that the reality of a situation is other than we would have expected are often up against a brick wall, for they are tangling with intangibles. But there are a number of attractive studies carried out by psychologists that show the degree to which we act on totally erroneous assumptions about our ability to make autonomous decisions and about the effects of our actions. I shall cite a few disparate examples. And I will stop that right there. And we will pick up with Chapter 3 in the next video. And this was Part 3, and we will pick up at Part 4. See you there. Don't go away.